People, I'm going to keep this short. I just got back from seeing my dad, and he's in trouble. Because I don't know what kind of games these people are playing, like, honest to God. He's been in the hospital, what now, for almost a month? And I am talking! My grandson had a fit. Stay quiet. I'm giving him one chance to stay quiet. He had a fit. And then he just threw himself in the hall there. Because I told him, I'm going to go send you to bed. And I said, give you one chance. I don't think he figures out what the one chance is. Now he's getting loud. So I think I'm going to have to go put his butt to bed. Well, then I'm giving you one chance to stay quiet. I'm giving you one chance to stay quiet. I don't want to stay quiet. Well, if you make a noise, you're going to go to bed. Okay, people. Anyway, I'm going to try and just ignore this for a moment. Because he likes to interrupt conversations. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to, when I'm talking to them. He's got to import himself and start bibbidi-bibbidi-bibbidi-bibbidi-bibbidi like he's doing right now. I said be quiet. I said be quiet. I said be quiet. No, you were fine when you were having your tantrum up at where Uncle John was. Running around. Okay, he's in his bed, laying there with the light on. He's not allowed off his bed. He won't go to sleep. He's just resting. I have to fight with him to get his pajamas on. He is quite the little knucklehead, and he's been getting really, really freaking cheeky lately. Getting into everything. But cheeky. So anyway, I seen my dad yesterday. I didn't see him for 3 days prior to that, though, because I've been organizing stuff around here, you know, sorting out, right? Getting that mental inventory on, right? You know, getting ready for fucking spring and summer and fall. No, just whatever. Trying to stay positive here, people, you know? Set up my little grandson, a little more stuff here. Took some books downstairs. So I haven't been able to see my dad. I seen him yesterday. But the thing is, yesterday, I noticed it yesterday. He's spending too much time by himself. He says, well, you know, they tell me to come throw a ball, but how am I supposed to throw a ball when I can't even see it? You know, well, come watch. Well, what is he watching? He can't see. So he spends a lot of time in his room by himself, right? And then he's got these people. And let me say something. I'm gonna just say this fast, okay? Because this is not the video that I wanted to be doing, but a fight broke out tonight, practically, with the nurse and with my daughter, and my daughter. So anyway, and then security comes because we're running late, going on 8:45 when we should have been out of there by 8. And the guy can't speak English, and it's like, excuse me, what'd you say? Excuse me, what'd you say? Excuse me. Oh, 4 times later, finally I understand you. Well, out of the whole floor, everybody that's in there is an immigrant worker from somewhere, whether they're like Asian, like a Chinese, that Filipino or something like that. They're from, you know, the South Asian community. So everybody's practically running around in there with, not everybody, but the majority of them running around in there with these deep, heavy accents. Well, my dad is sitting in a wheelchair, rolling himself around with the dirty floor, and then taking his fingers and putting his fingers in his mouth. Now he's got this bad cold, right? Because he's, you know, just wheeling himself around in a wheelchair and he bites his nails, right? Or he goes like this or whatever. So, like, I'm really concerned that he's putting all these germs in his mouth because he got him on this fucking wheelchair all the time, right? Well, I'll tell you something. Yesterday I noticed it. He's weaker. He's weaker than he was 4 days ago when I seen him. Because I have to help him go to the bathroom again, right? So I don't know what these people are doing, and I don't know how, you know, this is how they justify it. Well, this was only a temporary ward anyway. It's just an assessment. That's why he's only allowed here for 3 weeks. Anything after 3 weeks, we're going to charge you for it. It's going to cost more than if you send him to the convalescent care. That's only $32 a day. But yet, you know, at the hospital, Well, I'm releasing him from the hospital. He's got no sickness, but he can go home. Well, actually, he can't. He needs a little recuperation time. So we're going to send him over here, and I promise you, he'll get more exercise, which was a bunch of freaking crock. He didn't get more exercise. What he did is he got planted in a fucking wheelchair with a bunch of people going back and forth where 3/4 of them can't even speak English properly, clearly, where it's legible and understandable, and they're bombarding him with, well, come do this, or you should be doing this, or why don't you want to stay here? Don't you like it here? Why don't you like it here, Mr. Duncan? And my dad depends on me to be like, he used to tell him to come talk to me. But they're like, the nurse, what the nurse said tonight to me? When I called her on this shit, like, you guys have created my dad to be sitting in this wheelchair with absolutely no strength so that you can justify it as you've got somebody else that he doesn't even recognize telling him he needs to go to a convalescent for 2 more months. So now it's in his head he's got to go for 2 months, even though he's telling me he wants to come home and he knows he'll do better at home. But yesterday or today, some guy, some woman, he doesn't even know who the fucking woman is. He thinks it's a woman. Convincing him he needs to spend more time there in a wheelchair. Or go to the next location, and under that promise, he might get some extra help walking. Well, the nurse is telling me, and I'm like, well, blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, he's confused. Oh, so in other words, you guys still got him listed as confused. Is that it? I wonder why he's fucking confused. You're getting him to answer questions for you that you're logging down that, well, why don't you like being here? Well, I don't know. What kind of question is that? You tell me. Why should he even have to answer a question like that? He's not there to grade their performance. They're understaffed. I was talking to the nurse last night. Apparently, they only have 4 care aid workers, like nurses' aides that, wipe the ass and, and flip him over and help him get dressed, walk to the bathroom, and pick up something if it drops, that kind of stuff, right? No physiotherapy. Physiotherapy only comes in once a week to assess everybody, and the other guy comes in half the time to work with, umpteen patients on that floor twice a week. Or 3 times a week. He doesn't come every day, and it's only one person. So the doctor at the hospital, before he released him, lied. And if my dad is just sitting there like, he's just getting all gimped up. You can see his body changing because he's sitting so fucking long. He can't even stand up. Well, we got him stand up. I'm talking. Stay quiet. Stay in your room. Stay in your room. Anything to interrupt. Be quiet! I said be quiet! I'm being really firm with him, people. You have to remember, he came home with issues, right? I took him out of daycare because the issues weren't solving themselves. If anything, they were getting worse because he was picking up bad habits from other kids, like throwing himself. And I'd move him, like take his arm, put him there, and the next thing he's throwing himself. My dad's wife threw herself all the time. You'd be walking with her, next thing she's throwing herself. And being cheeky and shit. So now he's really testing it. Getting into everything. I noticed that. Now that he's not in daycare, he's just getting into everything. Because when he was in daycare, he was just allowed to go and grab. So anyway, I told my dad, I said, you know what? They don't want to let you go. They're trying to keep you in that wheelchair so that they can justify sending you over there. Keep you there for a couple months, and when you won't be able to live up to those expectations that they set for you at that place, as they still list you fucking confused, because you won't toss a ball around because you know that you can't see it, and even what you gonna do? Where's he gonna throw it? Can he catch it? Why watch something you can't see? But they expect him to do that, and then they won't let him out of there. He'll die there, people. He will die where he is at because he's already starting to fade away, and they just he's confused. I said, yeah, well, half you people can't even fucking speak English. That's the first thing. And you're bombarding him with all this crap. You know, like, who is this person that came in, what was it, today? It must have been today. Who was this person that came in today, you know, talking about going into long-term care? When I was already talking to somebody else, because they know they're not walking him. They're not walking him. They're not doing anything with him. The bare minimum bones. The nurse last night told me they are already understaffed in that place. And when they do bring in extra staff, it's on a staff holiday, like a public holiday. Yesterday was BC Family Day. There's your famous Family Day, British Columbia Family Day. And then they bring in an extra staff when nobody's around. But when it's busy all week long, they're short one staff. And the nurse is working from the time she gets on shift to the time she gets off shift. She's like one after another, after another, after another. And she said she can't even keep up half the time. Who's got time to walk my dad? Why did they tell us from the hospital that that's what he was? He's going to there to get some exercise. He's going there to get physiotherapy. We can't keep him in here in the hospital because we can't give it for him. Just like that social worker. Well, let's put your John Henry down, you know, and sign him over to us, you know, the care team, the plan. And that's what this nurse was saying. Well, this person and 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 this person, you know, they all got to make the decision as to what to do with John. I said, excuse me? I said, why doesn't John get to make the decision for himself? Well, he's confused. This is what she said to me tonight, people. So, of course, my daughter jumps up and got her finger like this, you know, 2 feet away from the nurse. And not even 20 seconds into that, as my daughter was saying, don't you call my Uncle John confused, blah, blah, blah. The nurse says, don't you stick your finger up at me. Don't you stick, getting loud. Don't you stick your finger, put your finger down, put your finger down. Like a drama queen. Like, this is the and then my daughter said it's a fucking gong show. Well, my dad's sitting there feeling like crap. Because he's helpless to do anything about it. All he is just a victim sitting there waiting for somebody else to come in. Did you understand what I said? You got it? Hurry up. Make up. I gotta go to the next appointment, so do you agree or not, Mr. Duncan? Huh? Yeah, sure. I agree. And then they got it. Well, who are you? Are you next to kin? Yeah, I am. No? Get over it. Unless, of course, the family is coming in on the fucking sidelines here all of a sudden fighting for John. You know? Fucking 50 years later. Yeah, right? Like, this is bullshit, people. This is total fucking bullshit. Like, this is malpractice. This is fucking malpractice. They have conditioned my dad to be spineless. Like, literally, spineless. They keep him in this wheelchair, rolling around with his hands, pushing it around on a dirty fucking floor, knowing that he drools and that he goes like this, knowing that he bites his nails. I said to my dad, well, when you're at home, you're not fucking putting your hands on the dirty floor. You're not doing that shit and then putting, you know, whatever. Your hands are clean in the house, man, for the most part. There, his hands are dirty 24-7 from the moment they put him in that wheelchair and they leave him in there all day long. All day long. And then, like I said, he's gotten weaker. Because I haven't been able to get in the car 4 times, 5 times a day, drive back and forth even though my car's got a fucking oil leak in there and I'm almost empty on gas with no money again. Never mind trying to find parking. To run up there and give him some exercise and talk to him on a level that we talk to him at home. Actually talk to him, with him, not at him. By making him feel guilty for wanting to come home. Well, why don't you like this place? Wouldn't you agree it's nice? Don't you think it's nice? And if you don't, why, Mr. Duncan? Why even ask him that question and put him in that position where he has to answer that fucking question? He's not there to answer those kind of questions. He was sent there to get some physiotherapy, which he has not received. And if he did, it's at the bare bone fucking minimum of, you know, maybe 3 sessions out of 3 weeks. While the guy next to him has been in there since December 18th and has gotten even less than my dad. And can't figure it out either. But you don't see them rushing him out. I guess he has no pension plan. Right? And then this nurse tonight, well, a social worker. I don't want to hear about no fucking social worker. We know what the social worker tried to do. The minute I met her, she already had my dad in a fucking coffin. She was just waiting for me to start hammering the nails for her. You know? Put your John Henry down. Let's put him in a fucking old folks home. You know, and we'll just drag it out. We'll drag it out like we've been dragging it out here where we're going to put him for the next 3 weeks. He can come home. He can come home and we will try and help him at home. There's enough of us here. There's strong and able-bodied young people. That they will do. We'll give him body rubs to make him loosen up before he stands up. Can use a little walker in parts of the house to brace that, whatever it is. And honest to God, if it looks like in 2-3 months he ain't progressing, because this, whatever they did in the hospital, made him permanently wheelchair bound, permanently wheelchair bound, because that's where it looks like the direction he's going in after today with them. Well, he's confused. Who are you? Well, I don't know. Who am I? Oh, I'm going to leave it at that. That's not what I wanted to do, people. But this is going to get ugly unless they send him home soon. And if they're going to fight to put him in a care fucking convalescent ward, well, then I'm going to expose them how they got that situation to even occur. And we'll start with bringing him into the hospital, knowing that he was a little loopy. He wasn't delirious. He was a little loopy because he had a lung infection that was starting to take hold. And then they left him lying on a gurney with a whole lot of other fucking gurneys all the way down the halls in the hospital with a bunch of strangers popping their head in. Maybe they could speak English, maybe they can't. Who knows? Manhandling him, moving around, asking questions, bombarding him, freaking him out, until they finally put him in a room, told him he couldn't get out of bed, wouldn't help him out of bed, kept him in bed, and then rushed him out of there with a false promise to get some help to walk, to only find out that they're quite comfortable just to leave him in a fucking wheelchair with a diaper on. Right? Well, he's out of the diaper now. But, like I said, less strength yesterday, less strength today than he had 4 days ago. And that's because they don't do nothing with him. Because they got him listed as, well, he's definitely confused. Family's not around. We're going to take control and put him in some place for 2 months after we trick him into agreeing that we should, that's where he needs to believe, by sending in, who knows, he can't see, right? He's pretty sure it's a woman. She sounded like a woman. Could have been a man, though. Maybe she had a deep voice with, you know, her subliminal sentencing so they can justify their fucking job positions at the expense of tearing apart a family and destroying my dad, basically. Because this will destroy him. It's already fucking starting to destroy him. We can see that. I can see that. His will for living is just... He's waiting. He's waiting to come home. But they won't let him come home. And they're not helping him to come home. Because they're too busy going ching-ching, 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 if we move him over there. Right? And then once he gets over there, considering the care that he's been getting, and all the false information that he's been getting through that system, who's to say he's going to get better care where he's going? Oh, well, they get to, you know, dance. Well, he can't dance. You know, they get to, you know, do a little fly, you know, do something. He can't see, people. He can't see. So that interrupts a lot of whatever it is. My daughter was telling something there that when she was volunteering at those centers, right, through school, you know, they'd come in once a week and they'd do all this fun stuff with the elderly. And everything that she was mentioning was non-applicable to my dad. There was nothing he could have participated in. Absolutely nothing because of his conditions with his eyes. And his legs. So he'd be just sitting waiting for physiotherapy at the fucking convalescent ward. Right? Waiting for family to show up. And that's even farther away. And kids don't have money. They're not making that much money. All right? My youngest daughter's quitting her job at McDonald's. She's fed up with it already. She just to hell with it. I'm just going to put my attention on school. So she's going to come to me for money. Right? So there's not no money to take a bus. There's not no money to go fucking take a car down, drive, and then have to pay at least $5 for 1 hour, $4.50 for parking for 1 hour, $7.50 for 2 hours to go visit him in a care facility that will probably piss me off. Because I will see it for what it really is. You know? It's just a filtration of public funds. Stealing old people's money. You know? Misleading them to think that they're going to get better. Maybe in 5 months down the line. By that time, my dad won't make it. I can guarantee you. He will not survive an environment like that very long without his family. Because he's already starting to show. You know? He doesn't even tell them to talk to me anymore because they've broken his spirit. Well, who's she? Why should we talk to her? We're talking to you. You make that decision. Yeah, well, anytime anybody had to stand up to a fucking landlord around here, it was me. Anytime somebody had to stand up to anything that needed to be stand up to, I was the first one in fucking line. I'm the one with the mouth. My dad would stand behind me, stand beside me, support the things that I was doing. But when it came down to fight the fucking fight, I was the one that fought the fight. So he relies on me to speak up and to read what they're saying about him, to read the decisions that they're making around him, so that I can have a conversation with him so that he can understand what the hell's going on. Because as far as he's concerned, they're just fucking shadows coming in and out of his life that may or may not speak English clearly. And they're putting pressure on him for all the wrong reasons. The pressure that they're supposed to be putting on him is to stand up and walk. Not, well, gee, do you know what day it is, Mr. Duncan? Even though you can't see the fucking calendar? He lost his watch. Somebody took his watch. Isn't that interesting? Well, the other thing is, when he got sick and he went into the hospital, they did a whole bunch of tests on him, right? And, now you have to remember, my dad's got like great education, worked on the farm, you know, baling hay, you know, cleaned out the freaking oil drums in the big ships back in the day, was a janitor for 25 years for the provincial government. You know, like he wasn't nobody like fancy-dancy with the freaking book sense, you know, in terms of conversation and big words and, you know, and that and writing fucking paragraphs and, you know, and all that crap, right? That's why he's got me. Because I took on that role. That's not to say he didn't have a backbone, because he does, but he's losing that backbone because they just got him wasting away in a fucking wheelchair. But thing is, they took these tests, right? And it shows little white matter in his brain. And that, I guess, is a signification that at some point in the past, he hit his head. Or both, I'm not sure. He had many strokes along the way. Nothing too serious. That's what the doctor said. But they got him listed as falling at home. Because when they phoned me up and I talked to somebody, oh, he fell, right? No. He never fell. In the 23 years that he's lived with me, 24 years that he's lived with me, he's never fell. What part of that don't you understand? He was falling prior to moving into my house because he was taking all this medication. Because you have to remember, his wife was a pill popper. You know, by the time she died, she had like 15 different fucking kinds of pills that she was popping. Right? Well, she had got him on that bandwagon. And he was falling when he was coming to my house. I said, look, and he was dropping his pills onto my little kids, my children were young. I said, look, you can't be coming around the house if you're dropping your pills and you're falling and all this crap. Like, you got to make a decision. This is around the time when he was saying, like, I can't live with my wife anymore because she's driving me nuts with her, you know, dirtiness and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I want to jump off the bridge. I can't live by myself because I can't see what can I do. And I'm like, well, the only thing you can do is maybe move in with me and then we can just figure it out along. But you can't come in taking these pills because if you're taking these pills, you'll be falling and I can't have you falling. And I sure hell can't have you dropping them around the house. So he stopped. He stopped taking all his pills, including Tylenol 3s. And he stopped falling. And he never fell, not even once, the whole time he lived with me. The only time he fell is when I was living up that grow-up little fucking situation there with that stupid landlord. And his wife was there, and she took him to the back. where I planted a garden, and because his wife liked to throw herself, you know, you'd be walking, next thing you know, you'd be flying because she'd literally just throw herself. I don't know, you know, how people do that, but they do. And I guess she took him out to the back, standing by the garden, and decided to throw herself, and so they both went flying into the fucking garden, and they thought it was funny, like little lovebirds, you know, all young and, you know, and just all ho ho, right? And I'm like, are you kidding me? But outside of that, people, he's never fell in the house and hit his head. But they're like fabricating their fucking shit on their files, you know, to try and keep him. Well, he can't come home because he was falling. No, that's not true. He never fell at the house. He fell before he moved in. After he stopped, when he moved in, after he stopped taking those pills, then he moved in, then he stopped falling. That's why he can't take pills. Unnecessarily. Because it, you know, he gets whatever, I don't know. Because, you know, his wife had him on 4 or 5 different pills at one point. And I said, that's a lot of pills. You need to start cutting back. So he started cutting back. And then eventually he had to make the choice. Well, either continue living where he was living under the conditions he was living with and not complain about it. Because I told him I can't fucking hear it anymore. You know, you either do something about it or stop complaining about it. One or the other. He chose to stop the pills and move in with me. And he's been living with me ever since. And these people are acting like how they treated us with Andre. Well, you know, this big group, there's like 8 of them. 9 people you're up against, Miss Chorney. You're up against 9. And it's obvious that he's confused. You know, we're making the decisions for him because I said, what gives you the right to make these decisions for him? Well, he's confused. Look at him. And my dad's sitting there listening to this crap. Can you believe this? After he got bamboozled by somebody today that he couldn't even recognize if she showed up tomorrow. And he's got absolutely no one there to defend him because they don't acknowledge people like me. Because we're poor. Because we can't sue them. Because to me this is like malpractice. And I'm going to start putting it out there. You left him in a fucking hall for 2 freaking days. You overstimulated him with a bunch of lights and a bunch of people walking by with a bunch of strangers poking and prodding on him. And God knows else what was going on in that freaking hall for 2 days. Then you made him lay down in bed and wouldn't allow him to get up. And then you ship him off someplace else telling him that he's got to get help to get up to find out that all he got was put in a fucking wheelchair. And then humiliated by asking him questions why he doesn't like it there and why he doesn't want to throw a ball even though they know he can't freaking see. And then turn around and call him confused right to his face as they're arguing with me, calling security. Because I'm saying enough is enough. He needs to come home. You put him in that convalescent fucking ward and he'll never come home. That's like putting him in the coffin. That's what these people have done. They've already put him in the coffin. End of life care plan. What kind of end of life care plan is this? 1 day after Family BC Day.